Juicy ground beef cooked down with spices and a little bit of heat, stuffed into a flaky pastry. It's one of the most iconic street foods and holds its own as one of the best. You and your family will love these Jamaican beef patties. Starting with the flavorful ground beef filling, I'm using the very best beef, Certified Angus Beef 80-20 blend. And I'm adding my seasoning, a little salt, allspice, granulated garlic, and dried thyme. And a staple ingredient in these authentic patties is scotch bonnet peppers. But if you can't find those, you can totally use habaneros like I am here. I dice them as small as I can and then add them straight into the beef. And mix this well. I use a little plastic bench scraper here to help cut everything into the beef to make sure everything's evenly distributed. And then I put it back in the fridge while we make the pastry. This dough is a basic pastry dough. And to start out with a little bit of sugar and some warm spices to really add that beautiful, iconic yellow color, curry and turmeric. And all of the dry ingredients go into a food processor along with my super cold butter and beef tallow. It works best if the butter and the tallow are actually frozen. Pulse this just until everything is combined, not trying to overprocess. We want that butter to stay as cold as possible and to be about the size of a pea. Add your cold water. Using a plastic bowl scraper again, or your hands, quickly work the water and flour mixture until it's a loose, shaggy dough. And by shaggy dough, I mean dough that's not totally put together. The shagginess is gonna help everything stay nice and flaky in the end. Dust a work surface with flour and turn out that shaggy dough and gently knead it until it comes together, just barely 1 minute. Roll out the dough into a 7x11 rectangle. Working with the longest length of the rectangle, fold a third of the dough forward to the middle, and then fold the other third over that to create 3 layers of dough in a letter-like shape. From there, roll out the dough to another 7x11-inch rectangle and do the same letter fold 2 more times. This is what creates all of those layers of flakiness. Cover and refrigerate while we make the ground beef filling. Start out with just a touch of oil in a skillet and brown your seasoned ground beef mixture. Remember, we want to brown our ground beef, so dark color and some crispy bits here and there is key. Those crispy bits is caramelization in the beef, and that is where all of the flavor comes from. So add in that chopped white onion and break all of it down together with a spatula as it cooks. And then once everything's fully cooked, set your pan aside and let it cool. Doing one more traditional letter fold to our pastry dough, we are almost ready to fill our patties. And a little tip here, have a dry pastry brush close by, because what I like to do here is just dust off that excess flour, because we don't want to add flour into our dough, and it helps the dough really stick together when we're rolling it out to create all of that flakiness. Once you have your dough rolled out, using a 4-inch biscuit cutter to cut out 12 rounds. And roll out and use the scraps of the dough if you need to get that 12 out of the scraps. That's fine. I'm doing it here, and I think I need to get 2 more. Roll out each circle that you've cut out right before filling so it's easier to crimp the edges once the filling is actually inside. And using a food processor, pulse the cooked beef mixture into a fine, crumbly texture. Only about 6 to 8 pulses. Measure a 1/4 cup for each patty and mound that filling in the center of each dough circle and gently fold the pastry to seal it in. You don't need any egg wash or water for this. The dough is sticky enough to where using a fork to pinch the edges shut will do you just fine. And make sure you poke the top just once with your fork to help vent out any steam. We'll bake these patties at 425 for 30 minutes. If you've never had these patties before, give this recipe a chance and bring a little culture to your kitchen this weekend. I know you're gonna love it.
Let's see what these look like inside. These are delicious. The heat is there, the curry's delicious. I can't wait for you to try these. See you next time in the test kitchen.